Hi everyone, this is the Myers fan, and I have a very special guest on the channel with me today. He's the director of such films as Halloween 4 and Marked for Death. We have today with us Dwight Little. Dwight, how are you?
Good morning, I'm doing well, thank you.
I guess my first question is, how did you get into the film world?
I was a USC film student coming out of Cleveland, Ohio originally, and got myself into USC off a student film that I did in high school, and then I kind of knocked on doors from there.
What was the very first film you've ever done, even if it wasn't released theatrically? Like, what was the first project that you worked on?
Well, I made a film at USC, a student film called Americana, which won awards and got me some attention. But my first professional film was not released, but it was called KGB: The Secret War. It starred Sally Kellerman, and it was a spy thriller that we shot in 3 weeks with an old-time B-movie producer named Sandy Howard.
So, tell us, how did you get involved with Halloween 4? Like, how did that whole thing come about?
Well, at the time, Mustafa decided that he wanted to go ahead and take another shot at the franchise. His company started looking around for directors, and they separated their creative selves from Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, because I guess they couldn't agree on the story about how to do Halloween 4. It's very controversial because Halloween 3 had, as everybody knows, gone off in a different direction, and Mustafa wanted to bring Michael Myers back. He saw a demo reel of mine from my manager, and he sparked to it. So I went in and pitched him a take on Halloween 4 that was completely different from what they were doing.
I heard that John Carpenter wanted to do something like where Michael Myers was a ghost or something like that, and I'm like, I don't know, I just didn't see how that would work.
Yeah, I'm not entirely clear. The treatment that he showed, or the script that he showed me, I felt that was written by other writers was unsuccessful, and I have had a long and successful collaboration with a writer named Alan B. McElroy.
Yeah, he's great, by the way.
Yeah, he's terrific. And so he and I just kind of brainstormed and came up with a take on Halloween 4. He's also from Cleveland, and I went in and pitched that take to Mustafa and his producers, and they liked the basic approach of it.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great film. The dialogue was fantastic, which leads me to my next question. Who is Michael Myers to you? What does he represent?
Well, you know, Alan and I, when we were kind of banging out the script, because we were very rushed, there was a writer's strike back then, and we had to get it done just in time. But we talked about that very issue, and in the conversation, Alan had said, just kind of off, you know, he just said, I think Michael Myers is evil on 2 legs. And I said, well, we should just say that. You know, we should stop being coy or beating around the bush, and we should just say it. So there's a scene in the police precinct station where Loomis just says to the chief of police, he just says that he's evil on 2 legs.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt that because you can't see Michael's eyes and you can't see any expression on his face, we thought that that really was helpful in shorthand to just say, he is who you want him to be. You can project onto him your nightmare, your fear, your insecurities, whatever makes you afraid in the dark. You can project that onto Michael, and in that way, he's sort of an empty vessel that you fill up with your own fears. And I think and that's something that keeps Michael alive. Oddly enough, is the face, the eyes with no soul. The face that you don't really know what his agenda is.
Because I noticed that in the film, and not just the film, but I've seen you in many documentaries. I've heard Alan talk about this. I've heard John talk about this, and you guys keep referring to him as the devil or something like the devil, or like you said in one of the documentaries, you said it was like it was either you or Alan. One of you guys said it was like hunting the devil. That's why you had the preacher there with Donald Pleasance.
Well, that's why we wanted to have that scene. I've been hunting him for years, because that old preacher, he's hunting evil. I don't know if we ever really articulate the devil, but it's however evil walks on the face of the earth, and God knows there's plenty of it. However that is, and you can assign it. You can say that Michael's, schizophrenic. He's mentally disordered. You could say he's possessed. You could say he's the devil himself. I mean, it allows some leeway, some interpretation, because what people are afraid of is what they don't understand.
That's definitely true.
And I think in today's world more than ever, what we don't understand. War is one thing, but people shooting up other people, innocent people, for no reason is something that we really don't have a place to put that in our mind. And I think that Michael just coming into a town hell bent on destruction, it's hard to, you just have to stop it. You just have to kill it. You have to put it down like there's a great scene. I forget the movie, but they talk about, if you have a rabid dog, at some point you're just going to have to put it down. You can't fix it. You can't talk to it. You can't reason with it. At some point, you're going to have to either chain it up or put it down. Those are your only two choices. And so at the beginning of Halloween 4, he is chained up. He's in he's in the depth of a psychiatric prison. And only in the prison transfer is he allowed a chance to escape.
Yeah, like I said, you did a great job communicating all those things, because you had him being portrayed as a human being at one point that had mental issues, and then at one point he was portrayed as something like a demonic character, something like the devil incarnate. So you portrayed both of those things, and you did it very well, I might add.
Well, thank you. Well, there is a possession aspect to the film, as you know, at the end, when the power of Michael is transferred, into the girl, into Jamie Lloyd. You get this transfer. Essentially, the little girl is possessed by whatever that demon spirit is. So by the end of the movie, it kind of, it does go there.
And that's when you can sort of tell that we are now moving beyond mental illness, because I don't care how mentally ill a person is, you can't touch one person and make them do the same thing you did years ago. Although I guess you could say it's something like hypnotic suggestion or something. You could explore it that way. What do you think?
Well, what I think is that when John did it in 1978, and here we are, 31 years later. I think that all horror movies, but Halloween and Michael Myers in particular, are looking for ways to do an essay or to discuss the unknown. And what's fearful is what we don't know. So if we could put a label on it and say, okay, all mass shooters are this, and all we have to do to stop it is this, then we would have a solution. The problem is we don't have a solution, and that's terrifying. And I think that's true with Michael as well. You don't really know. Is he mentally ill? Is he, a devil? All these things come to bear, and that's, I don't know, I think that's sort of the artistic question is what is Michael Myers?
Yeah, I've been hunting it myself, trying to find out what he is. I've talked to people about this, and we have our little fan discussions on Facebook, and I've literally been hunting this thing, just like the Reverend,
You're like the guy in the truck.
That's right, I've been hunting him.
What was his name? Sayer.
That's right, yeah.
And he's been out there, very biblical, very, very biblical character.
Yeah, very, very awesome job. I enjoyed it. I watched it again last night because I knew that I was going to be doing this interview. Very awesome job.
Well, good. I do think it holds up. And as you know, last year we were incredibly flattered and pleased to have a Universal Studios tour of Halloween 4. And that was just, such a thrill because it was, it was really well attended. People, you could just tell how much interest there still is in that film.
A lot. What did you enjoy most about making Halloween 4?
Well, I enjoyed the locations because I thought they were very evocative. I enjoyed very much working with the two girls, Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris. When you work with young actors, they are early in their career, and I guess maybe this is an ego thing for the director, but they really want to listen. They really want to be directed. And so you have an opportunity, I think, as a director to make a real contribution. But I had also, even as a kid, I had admired Donald Pleasence from The Great Escape and from James Bond and all that. So to work with a real genuine movie star of that caliber, and I was still young, I thought that was a tremendous honor to work with somebody like Donald Pleasence.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, well, and then the final part of your question is, Mustafa was very supportive, but he never tried to impose himself and tell us what to do. And so when I say we, it was myself and my director of photography. We really were allowed to make a movie without what you would think of as the normal studio interference.
I envy you so much, sir, because I wish that I had gotten to meet Mustafa or Donald Pleasence. I was just thinking those things before you called. I was like, I wish I got to meet that guy, or I wish I got to talk with Mustafa Akkad, and I wish I could be interviewing him as well.
Sure, of course. Well, he was a great producer, and of course, he had that tragedy. That was just really hard to imagine.
Yeah, that's why I've decided to dedicate my YouTube channel to his memory.
Well, that's nice. That's important.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I would like to also dedicate this to him.
Very good.
My next question is, if you were the writer of Halloween 4 instead of Alan McElroy, would the film be any different from what has already been established by Alan?
Well, no, because we have an unusual collaboration because although Alan does, don't make no mistake, Alan does the writing, we do pound out the story together and discuss the breakdown of the scenes and have, so I'm very aware. You know, when I read a first draft, I know exactly what it's going to be because we've discussed it. So, in a way, you know, Alan is a voice that I feel is in sync with my voice, and you know, I think that is the movie I would have made in any event.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. It was just a great movie. I wish you had done the fifth one, which leads me to my next question. And by the way, there are so many people on my channel that can't wait to hear your voice. So they're very excited about this.
Oh, good.
I've also had Ellie Cornell on the channel.
She's great.
Yeah, I met her back in April. You guys are such an inspiration to me, and I don't know what I would have done without you. You've had such a big impact on my life.
Oh wow, that's important to hear. Thank you.
When you're disabled and you can't do the things you want to do, it's a big thing when somebody else can come in and make your world just a little bit brighter, in my opinion. And that's what you and Ellie and Danielle Harris and everybody else have done for me. You guys are the reason I play the piano and things like that. That's all because of you guys. You know, you and what's the gentleman's name? Alan Howarth, I believe his name is.
Alan Howarth, the composer?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted to hear that we've been able to help, and I don't know what the nature of your disability is, but I certainly wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. That leads me to my next question. It's been said that you and Alan were approached, Alan McElroy I'm speaking of, that you guys were approached to do the fifth film, but you declined. Why?
Well, I felt, honestly, that we had somehow, through hard work and a little bit of luck and time, we had almost made a kind of perfect Halloween movie. We had, I think one of the things people do, even people who are mixed on the film, they certainly always credit the ending as being a nearly perfect ending.
Yeah.
And there were two reasons. One, I felt like I had done it to the best of my ability. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know whether I wanted to go and try again, because I thought, I don't know if I can hit this ball that well a second time. And then I had gotten some calls, because Halloween did open very well at the box office. So, Halloween 4, that is. So I had received some calls from Menachem Golan about doing something with Robert Englund, and that seemed to me that was something new and fresh, and so I was all, by the time Mustafa was ready to make 5, I was already sort of involved with something else.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering about that. How did you meet Danielle Harris, and what was your first impression of her?
Well, we read quite a few girls, young girls, here in Los Angeles for both Ellie's part and Danielle's part, and we didn't have any luck here. I was very frustrated, and Mustafa said, why don't you go to New York and we'll get a casting session together for you there, which I thought was very smart on his part. I mean, it meant him spending money, but he was okay. So I said, well, I think that's a good idea. Well, we went to New York and we had a casting session, and it was very funny because we'd already read 3 or 4 people, and when she came into the room, I knew that was our girl. It's a very odd thing that happened, because she was very mature. She was a little older than the character, and all the other girls, you know, they had done commercials or, you know, maybe theater, and they were just kind of still kind of commercially and not very realistic and believable. And Danielle Harris was so poised and so mature and so confident. And then, of course, we read her, and she did great. But I actually knew that she was our girl before she even read the script.
She is great, and I'm really hoping to get her because I've had Ellie, and now I've got you. I'm hoping to get Alan McElroy and Danielle Harris because, like I said, you guys are just wonderful.
Well, I think Alan would be happy to do it, and I'm sure Danielle will as well.
I absolutely love you guys, and I thank God for you. I really do.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that's happened.
Who were your biggest influences in cinema? Who influenced you?
Well, there was a Hollywood director. Most people say, Kurosawa or Truffaut or Bergman or something like that. There was a Hollywood mainstream director named Sidney Pollack, and I thought he had an interesting balance of commercial movies and kind of art house movies. He made 3 Days of the Condor, and he made Jeremiah Johnson, and he made and also big spectacles like Out of Africa. So he was one who interested me. But in the more general note would be a group of what we now see as this whole 70s movement. Because when I was coming up in college, in film school, it was basically the big five. It was Coppola, Scorsese, De Palma, Friedkin, and to some degree Spielberg, although he was in a more commercial area. But I think it was the 70s filmmakers together that just really inspired my whole generation. They were all American film gods, that whole 70s bunch.
Yeah, well, you can clearly see you've had some kind of influence because when I was looking at Halloween 4 last night, I knew I was looking at the work of a pro. I was like, this is really good, and I was looking at it with new eyes for some reason. I was like,
good.
I don't know. I've seen it 100 times, not literally, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so, but last night was different somehow. I was like, I'm seeing this with new eyes,
Well, maybe you're different.
Maybe so.
I think when you see a film when you're 18 and then you see it again when you're, in your 50s, it's a different movie.
Yeah, that's true. Because you have a different way of looking at things now,
Absolutely.
And I'm 33, and so I've been a fan of these films since the 90s, and I saw your film Halloween 4 for the first time in 1999, so...
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm definitely different, now than I was 20 years ago.
That's 20 years ago, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So I guess my next question would be, if given the opportunity, would you be willing to come back and do another Halloween film? And if so, would you follow the original continuity, or would you want to do something fresh?
Well, I think I'm in touch with Malik Akkad, and I think they've found their own way now because they've got John Carpenter back involved, which is as it should be. I mean, absolutely it should be. And this last movie with Jamie Lee Curtis was very successful. So they, I think, have their own, journey ahead of them. So I don't imagine that happening. And that's fine because I'm very happy with the Halloween that I did make, and I wish them a lot of luck. I did have my own, not criticisms, but I had my own concerns about this last one. But nevertheless, the fans seem to like it, and I think they're on their own journey now.
Well, with all due respect, I'd rather see you back there again, and it's no disrespect to them. It's just that, you know, like I said, you bring that whole classic vibe, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I would, you know, I'm sure that Alan and I could be easily persuaded to do it, but I don't think that's really in the cards.
Well, my philosophy in life is you never know, and I hope that it changes somehow.
We'll see.
Because I'm actually working on trying to write a script, and I don't think they would ever greenlight it, but I would love for you to take me under your wing and give me some tips on how I could make it a better story, at least, you know.
Well, it's always, you know, it's always a long journey, but you have my email.
Yes, sir.
So that's always a possibility. But in terms of me being involved with the Halloween franchise, I don't think that's a likely outcome.
And I understand that, but I believe I can always have hope, and I hope that by some kind of miracle that one day that changes. And my final question for you is, have you seen any of the films after Part 4? And if so, what did you think of them? And what do you think of Blumhouse's new trilogy that they're working on?
Well, I haven't really seen them very much. I particularly did not see the Rob Zombie movies. That's just not my thing. But, you know, it's hard because I can't look at those for more than 5 or 10 minutes and think, well, that's not what I would have done. So, yeah, so I don't watch them. I did see this first Blumhouse one, and I don't know. I mean, I honestly can't, I can't say I was a fan of it, but again, the fans seem to like it, so I'm, you know, happy to let it go on. It was too dour for me, too glum, I thought that this manic kind of, you know, barricaded possession, I mean, she's been waiting I don't know, it took it out of what I would think of as Halloween and turned it into something else. I didn't feel anything Halloween-y about it.
That's what I was saying. This is what I was saying. That's why I was trying to persuade you to write something, because yours felt like a Halloween movie. Like
it was more of a thriller. It was just kind of a, you know, thriller, and which is fine. And again, you know, they're doing just fine without me, so they'll be okay.
Because when I looked at it last night, I was like, okay, the location is different because this is Salt Lake City. This is not Pasadena, but you had everything else. You had Donald Pleasance. You had the mood. You had the lighting. You had the atmosphere. You had everything. You absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, well, we did. We tried to recreate Haddonfield.
Well, you did it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
And on that note, I'll say it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your interest, and good luck with your channel and everything.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Okay, all the best.
All right, thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the director of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I enjoyed meeting him. It was an absolute pleasure, and like I said, he's had a big impact on my life. Most of the people from the Halloween franchise have. He's had an impact on my life, and that's why I'm where I am today, because of those guys. From Ellie Cornell to Dwight Little, they've been such an inspiration to me, and I'm glad I could get them on today. I'm the Michael Myers fanatic. I approve this message, and you've been listening to my interview with the director of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Mr. Dwight Little. Thank you so much.
I love Michael Myers. To me, everybody hates him, but I am going to keep him alive as long as I can.